From the Channel Seed Studios, welcome to The Hook. A look behind the lines with Mike Palm and Ken Miller. Powered by Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. This is Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
And welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of The Hook. My name is Ken Miller. My partner is Mike Palm, the Vice President of Operations at Circa Sports, as we head to Las Vegas. Personally, you can hear myself and Trent Condon Monday through Friday on Des Moines Sports Station 106.3 KXNO from 11 to 1. You can actually hear Mike join Trent and I on the radio at 11:30 Central Time on Fridays, 11:35. Mike, good to talk to you again for the second time today. How was your afternoon? Busy out there in Vegas? Is the hotel filling up?
Oh, yeah. We got a Keno slot tournament this weekend, so it's busy. Rates are crazy in Las Vegas. Looking around town, I mean, the small hotels are selling at $400 a night this weekend.
Wow. What's behind it, Mike?
I don't know. There's that When We Were Young concert, too, that's supposed to have 80,000 a night going. So, and it's that time of year, right? It's a beautiful time of year where, I mean, we're in the low 80s in the daytime and the mid 60s in the evening.
It's beautiful. Yeah, you live for that time. That's for certain. Well, a lot of ground to cover with you. Excited to get into some of these games, some of these spots. Baseball's ongoing. You know, the Astros are kind of becoming the Patriots to me. It's like death taxes and the Astros in the Final Four of baseball. The Patriots had that good run. Both teams took liberties, I guess, as far as they're willing to push the envelope with the Deflategate, and now with, the cheating that went on a couple of years ago with the Astros. Do they look like the best team as we sit here? Game 5 is underway as we record this. It was 1-0 Houston when I came down to my office. Does Houston look like the team to beat to you?
Well, I don't know. I thought this was going to go 7. It still might. I don't know how you can start Valdez in Game 6 if you're Houston.
I agree with you.
If they do, it will go 7.
Yeah.
So I still think Philadelphia is the best team right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the World Series will be a pick-em probably close to either way. I think Houston maybe 115 over Philadelphia, and maybe the same Philadelphia 115 over Texas. I don't know if Philadelphia gets there, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, they've played unbelievably well at Globe Life. The numbers are astounding. And then Bregman with the big home run to get them off to the 1-0 lead and stake Jordan Montgomery, who's been, other than one start, has been just lights out in the playoffs. It's been lights out since mid-August. So quite a series. Quite a series.
Yeah, indeed it is. Well, we shall see. And as we talked earlier, it really doesn't matter to Circa who wins the World Series, right? As far as future ticket go?
Well, Mitch Moss has the future for it would win 91,000 with but that's included in the whole thing, right? So Houston is no good for us. Everybody else is okay.
All right, let's move on. Thursday night, we have 2 baseball games. We had a football game. I learned today from you that the baseball actually did very well. Now there's 2 games up against 1 game.
Yep.
I thought the NFL would still come out on top, but that wasn't the case.
No, if you added the baseball together, it was more than the NFL game. There was a lot of sports going on. It was actually a really good, if you sat down at 4 in the afternoon, it was a really good sports Pacific time. You had the Philly game was 1-1. You had a couple college football games that were decent. James Madison. But decent matchups of winning teams. Had a ton of hockey last night, including the Golden Knights moving to 5-0, Colorado moving to 4-0 over Chicago. You had the NFL game, and then you had Houston and Texas. It was really a very good sports viewing night.
No, it was Thursday nights. The NHL, for whatever reason, Wednesday there's 2 games. There's 14 on Thursday. Friday there's a couple. I just don't get their scheduling a lot.
It's every other day there's 2 games. I don't get it.
It's wild. I don't either. I've never understood it. Have you watched enough hockey to form an opinion as to who you think looks like a cup contender to you? You just mentioned 2 that probably are.
Well, the 2 that I made bets on so far, the Kings and Ottawa. Those are the only 2 future tickets I made. I don't have any reason to say that they're horrible tickets off the bat. If you have Edmonton, you have to be concerned.
Yes.
Off the start, pretty bad start. Colorado and the Knights both look great.
Yeah.
I think the Knights are markedly better when Hill's in goal than Thompson. But look, there's teams are off to good starts. I mean, some teams have brutal. I mean, Carolina starts with this brutal West Coast road trip. I mean, it's so early, but what a brutal trip to start the year.
Really?
I think San Jose's terrible. To me, they're the worst team that I've seen so far. But it's so early. It's so early. But did you see that Circa posted what country will win the Stanley Cup?
Oh, you finally did. Who and what was the price?
I think Canada's USA was 380 minus 380. Get back 270 or 280 or something like that.
Well, look, I'm going to continue to bet Canada's going to win one of these years. Toronto is clearly the flag carrier at this point because I don't like the way Edmonton's playing to start the year. Calgary stinks. Winnipeg's awful. It might be one of the worst teams in the league. I like your Ottawa Senators pick. They're an up-and-coming young team. But Toronto seems to be the only – and Vancouver's not very good.
No. They blew a lead last night in Tampa Bay. They had the lead there, and the coach is ripping them every night. There's a lot of toxic situations in Canada.
Yeah, there certainly are. That's for certain. Well, let's talk some football. Last night, was it a good result for the book, Jacksonville?
Yeah, it was because they just kept betting the Saints. Even when it said Lawrence was going to play with the brace, it still went to 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
So the side was good. The total was neutral. The only way we lose was if the Saints won by 3. That was the only one we had a loser to. Right. So we were in a good spot in that game, actually.
Where are you on Derek Carr? Of course, he played so long in Las Vegas. Now he's with the Saints. I think they're starting the wrong quarterback.
He's a I don't like to use the word, but he personifies a loser. The nonsense with Olave when he threw the ball 12 yards out of bounds, he gets up looking to blame somebody else every time. I mean, the coaches, the receivers, Look, Olave's going to be there a lot longer than he is. So he can scream and yell at Olave all he wants, right?
Right.
I just don't like it. He's always been bad in the red zone. They're starting the wrong quarterback, Ken. You're right.
I think they are.
Yes.
I think they're starting the wrong quarterback.
Where are you on Jacksonville? Quietly, they're 5-2.
You have to pay attention.
Mike Pritchett said on the show today they're really an underachieving group. I said, well, by underachieving, you mean that they're 13-3 in their last 16 regular season games, and they're a 97-yard Chad Henne touchdown drive away from making the AFC Championship. Yeah. It took Chad Henne coming in to beat them in that game, really.
Yeah.
Right? If Henne doesn't march down the field, they probably win that game. They're probably in the AFC Championship game.
How about that? What a shock that would have been. Yeah. But you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And Mahomes didn't want to come out. They forced him to come out. They put Henne in. So this weekend, here's the most intriguing game to me, and I have zero opinion on this. I do have an opinion on one game. I'm going to try and build on my Browns prediction from last week over the Niners. Help me out with the Steelers and the Rams. I think this is an absolute coin flip of a game. It opened at 3. It's essentially, you guys are still at 3. Steelers and the Rams, I can make a case both teams can win.
Well, I was hoping it'd go to 2.5, and I'd bet the Rams. I think the Steelers are a fraud. I really do. And I mean, they're a great organization, and they find ways to win games, but I think the Rams are much more talented, and they to me they're the most surprised. They're the team that's better than I thought by the greatest degree.
Yep.
Because I thought they were in close to Arizona territory, and I wasn't sure if they weren't going to tank for a while. But they're a competitive team, and with McVay they put the points up there, right? And I would say this is by far the worst defense. Probably Pittsburgh's faced a lot of good defenses. Mm-hmm. So this is probably the worst defense they'll face. They're not a bad defense, but I think you might rank it the worst. For me, I went out on Pittsburgh. I thought they would go to Houston and physically dominate the Texans team and really cause Stroud a lot of trouble. They didn't. The Texans dominated them. So I know they're 3-2, but I like the Rams. I know Chris Williams submitted the Rams in Survivor already.
Well, let's pick up on Survivor. I do want to come back to a couple more individual games. There's just under 1,800 people still alive.
Yeah.
There's only 2 games this week that have a point spread where the team that is favored is by more than a touchdown, I believe. Is there 2 or 3?
2. Well, San Francisco
Monday
7.
night.
Yeah, 7.
So does that lead you to believe that there'll be a bunch of Seattle Survivor picks this week?
1,500 of the 1,800 still have Seattle. I think Seattle will have somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 entries on them. Now, people that have multiple entries probably will go Seattle and someone else and hope Seattle loses.
Yeah.
Some people don't have Seattle, and if they don't have Seattle, it's interesting because they probably don't have Buffalo and they probably don't have San Francisco left either, right? So then where do you go?
Oof.
And like Chris, he landed on the Rams. I mean,
that's a tough spot.
I'd obviously take a favorite. I mean, the teams that I actually like, the other are all road teams. So I don't know how. I like the Commanders over the Giants. They're a road team. I think the Lions will beat Baltimore. I wouldn't use that. I just think I like the Lions +3. I think that
might be the best game of the weekend.
Oh, it is. If I could only watch one game, I'm watching that, not Philadelphia and Miami.
Yeah.
And so where do you go? I kind of like Atlanta. You wouldn't use them in Survivor on the road though, against Tampa. So where do you go? It's really hard.
No, there's no question about that. I'm not sure you can answer this question. Of the 1,800 players that are left, do you know if there's a player? I mean, what's the greatest amount of entries that one person has left? Do you know?
10 people have 10 entries.
And they're still alive with all 10?
Yeah, 10 people still have 10 entries. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look. I heard there's a hodgepodge of half of them have split their picks up every week, and half of them have just picked one team and kept moving forward. So,
as difficult as this is, I mean, I haven't seen October in this contest yet, and you've got guys, and 10's the maximum number of entries you could purchase, and there's still 10 people that have the max. That's remarkable. Okay, back to that Detroit-Baltimore game. The number opened up at 2.5. It's gone up a little bit. You guys are now Baltimore 3. Is Detroit the third best team in the NFC, Mike? Still behind Dallas? Or they taken over?
Oh no, I think they're better than Dallas. I actually think it's 1, 2, 3, and then you could argue 4 or 5. Probably Dallas, then Seattle. I think the NFC is probably pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could almost predict what the playoff seeding is going to be, right? I mean, it's San Francisco, Philadelphia. Detroit might steal the 2 seed, but Detroit, and then the 4 will be whoever in the South, and the 5 will be Dallas, and the 6 will be Seattle, and then who knows the 7th, right? I mean, it's pretty striated, I would think. Who's going to have home field in the AFC? I'll ask you that question.
Probably Kansas City again. I hate to say it, but
probably. That game in Frankfurt might have a big say in it.
Be huge. That'll be huge. That's 2 weeks from, not this weekend, but next.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So of the games across the pond, that's got to be the busiest game you've got. Most of you guys are right by far, right?
Oh yeah. Might be the most we've ever written on a game in England or in a foreign game. Although remember when the Rams played Kansas City and Mexico City?
Yes.
It was 53-51 or something like that was the score. That was a Monday night huge handle game.
Right, but that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a Monday night too.
Right, and that's what 5 o'clock, 5:30 Pacific time. Are you guys in Las Vegas picking up any intel at all that the NFL is seriously considering moving a franchise over there? Have you heard that?
No. I don't think it happens in the next 3 years. Maybe eventually. They've got to establish a fan base first.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they sell out the building, but everybody's wearing the different types of jerseys. Do you have an opinion on the NFL? You told us a couple of road teams that you like. What game would you play if you could only play one? Is there one game you like more than the other in the NFL?
No, not really.
How about the Chargers over the Chiefs?
Detroit, probably. Will you stop with the nonsense? Didn't you watch this garbage on Monday night?
I did.
Jeez, Kenny, how can you keep talking about this team?
The
people in Los Angeles don't even talk about them.
I know they don't care about that team.
Nobody cares.
They don't. They couldn't care less about this.
Burrow's a bust. The coach is worse than Anthony Lynn. I mean, it's a loser franchise.
So why is the number only 5.5? I'm surprised.
Because Kansas City's offense is nothing to write home about.
Mm-hmm. They're beatable, aren't they?
Take the Bear game out, and they're all fairly close games.
And they're beating.
I think 6 is too. If you told me to take a side here, I'd take the 6.
I did with the Chargers. That was my play of the week in our little contest with Trent and I that we did. I'm 27-8. We pick 5 games a week, and I'm 27-8 to start. And I hate.
You got in the wrong contest.
I know.
You should have been in the millions.
I am in the millions, and in the millions, I'm not doing very. Maybe it's college that's saving me. I don't know. Hey,
you can play college. Who do you like this weekend? You got under in Iowa City?
I don't use the locals. I don't bet Iowa or Iowa State. That's my policy.
Well, that's a bad thing because you know more about them than any other team.
I know, you're right. But I am zeroing in on the Big Ten this week, Mike. I love Penn State. And I think Michigan is going to hammer Michigan State.
If they don't get the death penalty in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, right.
What a stupid rule. You can't send people to watch Europe, but that's an idiotic rule. I mean, there's somebody, they hate Harbaugh. This is just Harbaugh, right? I mean,
it's got to be Ryan Day, doesn't it?
Well, Schiano, now everybody's playing that clip at halftime where, something's not right. And of all people to throw stones, Schiano. But
really.
They just got to want this Harbaugh so bad, this NCAA. I mean, it's incredible. But no, I think Michigan's clearly the best team in the country. Michigan State's awful. I can't pull the trigger. I think Penn State's a more talented team than Ohio. Look at the Ohio State metrics. They're really bad. This is the worst rushing team they've had in 20 years. I don't think the quarterback's that good. And yet James Franklin, in the fourth quarter against Ohio State, they crumble every single time. Yeah. So it's hard. I played it under 46, Kenny.
Did you?
This is number 1 and number 2 teams in yards per play allowed in college football. First and second best defenses, if you look at it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Big Ten East, I rank it Michigan by a considerable margin, then Penn State, Ohio State, maybe Maryland after that. I can't go any further than that.
I was out of town. I didn't watch one play of Iowa Penn State. Was Penn State that good on that day?
You know, at the first quarter, you could make a case that Iowa's got a chance. They're just going to hang her, and then it just snowballed downhill. It just snowballed downhill after that. Best game of the weekend in college football is Penn State, Ohio State. What's the next one? Where will you guys have do your most business?
Probably Utah, USC.
Yeah, just because the West Coast.
The West Coast. Alabama, Tennessee is an interesting game, but, neither of them is top 10. So we might do a little business on Clemson, Miami. That's kind of an interesting game.
Yep.
But by a large margin, Penn State, Ohio State is the key game for everyone.
So when it comes to the Florida State Duke game, obviously all eyes are going to be on the Duke quarterback. What are you hearing on Riley Leonard? Is he going to play? Because he can't win without him, can they? I'm not sure they can with him.
If he's not in, then the number should be closer to 20. I mean, but if he plays, this coach Elko his largest loss was Notre Dame by 7 in his 2 years there.
He's had a hell of a run.
Played everybody close.
Yeah, that's
true. If he plays, I want to take the points, but who knows? So I'm waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll get an in game. I mean, if he comes out and he looks halfway decent, I'll take 14 in that game quickly. Because I think Florida State is explosive at times, but they rarely play 2 good quarters together, right? They play a good half. But they usually take at least 1 quarter a game off.
You mentioned
that he doesn't play his starters the whole game, right? He's platooning everybody. His best players are only getting 35 snaps a game, which he's conditioning them or whatever for a run at a national title. But that comes into play here.
You mentioned the Minnesota-Iowa game. Are we perhaps trending on some historical numbers here? It's the total's at 30.5 as we speak. Can it get to 29.5? Is that asking too much?
No, it can't. You see what they do when it gets to 30. They'll
hammer it. Yeah.
I bet it under 31, and I bet it under 32.5, and I bet it under 31.5, and I bet it under 30.5. Yeah. Well, whatever. Well, how's this going to be? It's going to have to be special teams and defensive touchdowns. There won't be 30 passes in the game.
No.
Unless one team gets ahead by 3 scores, which how is that going to happen?
Yeah, you wouldn't anticipate that at all. No, I agree with you.
How about Iowa? I couldn't believe they won that game up there last year. They had really no business, and all of a sudden, in a 4-minute span, it turns the game.
What was it, 13-10 or something? Yeah, I think the final.
It was unbelievable.
Like yeah, it was. Final couple of minutes. I know you don't like this sport, but the NBA season is upon us.
Let's talk about the WNBA and the Las Vegas Aces.
How about that, huh?
This is Title Town. Title Town. We got the Knights, Aces now. 3 titles in a little over a year.
So what do the Aces do? Where is the parade for the Aces?
It's going to be downtown. You can't do anything on the Strip. It's all tore up for this goofy F1.
Formula 1.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks away.
Yeah, Thanksgiving Saturday, the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
So will they have the strip back to normal for Thanksgiving? Will they tear all the seating and everything down? That's a big undertaking.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to go on the Wednesday before, because we have a big slot tournament that runs Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday afternoon. So I'm going to go on they have some receptions and do it. I want to go see the whole thing. I'm going to go on that Wednesday night before, because then Thursday's practice, Friday's the time trial or whatever, and then Saturday's the race. So I'll watch the race on TV. I mean, but when you look at the traffic plan, it's like those roads are open to the public till like 4 p.m. and then again at 5 a.m. and then they close them, and then it becomes, I don't know. I have to see this thing, but to think that they've blocked the fountains at the Bellagio from anyone to be able to see for 3 months is ludicrous.
It really is. You know who else I feel bad for? The people that work on the strip.
They don't even know how they're going to get to work that weekend.
Right.
If they have any way to get to work.
How much do they have to go in advance of their shift, and then after their shift, when are they going to be able to get back to their car?
I used to work at the Venetian on New Year's Eve, right? And I ran a shift there.
Yeah.
And I worked 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., but I knew I couldn't leave till 5:30 a.m. because the roads were closed on New Year's Eve. So we just went and found some place to hang out when we got off of work, knowing we're not even going to go to our cars till 5 o'clock.
Yeah. What was your go-to property on the strip before you found Circa? Did you have one?
For playing?
Anything. If somebody came, if you had a visitor, if one of your friends coming to town.
Well, when I was of age, I'm going to go back. The Mirage was my favorite property always.
I love the Mirage.
I love the Mirage.
Yeah, me too.
It's not up there on that tier anymore, right?
No.
As far as going somewhere, and the Wynn properties have such an ambiance to them, right? They make you feel like you're better because of how beautiful it is and things like that. So I was a Caesars player though when I played. I liked Caesars Rewards, Total Rewards, whatever it's now, Harrah's. So I always played, and I like Caesar's Palace. And then if I didn't want to go to one of the bigger properties, Cromwell's really nice boutique property, place like that. Of course, I worked at the Venetian for 4 years. It's beautiful. Yeah. Great restaurants, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, there really are. Yeah, no doubt about it. Mike Palm, Vice President of Operations at Circa Sports. Of course, by the way, Circa was just named the Global Gaming Expo. It's absolutely huge, as you know. Tell the people that don't know. It was 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas. It's what's coming to the gaming industry next. See it here first type of thing. You guys were named the North American Property of the Year again. Is that what I saw?
Third straight year, yes.
That's quite a feather in your cap.
Well, as I said to our team, we have to take this with some humility. We didn't win the best players club. We didn't win the best slots. We didn't win the best pool, although we should win the best. Yeah, Derek didn't win Executive of the Year, right? Amy Howe.
Has he ever?
And Amy Howe from FanDuel won again. He was a finalist but didn't get it. So they should just give the award to the architect. I said they should.
Yeah, that's probably true. No,
I mean, it's an honor. It's an honor, and like you say, nobody talks about how nice the rooms are, and
they're spectacular.
And the downtown setting has a lot of advantages as well. Being downtown, where you can just go outside and go from property to property, and there's not that barrier to exit, and it's a much more relaxed feeling.
Well, here's what I'll say. And Tom Timmons, who ran the shop over at the Wild Rose, he's responsible for this quote. But he sincerely means it. Tom, you've got to know him a little bit. Yeah. He's as genuine a person as they come at Wild Rose, now retired. He said that in his opinion, Derek Stevens will become the Steve Wynn of downtown. What Derek and what Circa has done for downtown is not to be underestimated by anybody, and should get more recognition. That's fair, I think, too, is it not? For what you guys have done?
I can't comment on that.
I get it.
He has transformed downtown, though. I mean,
he has.
What he did, and now everybody's building an outside bar, and the formula that he used, right? And I would say when we go out and make partnerships in these other states, we're a very good partner, because Derek's is not gonna spare a dollar on marketing and promoting, right? Which helps the properties in those states as well.
And you know what else people like too? The fact that You know, it might take me a couple of minutes before I got through to Derek Stevens, but a lot of times I could. When Trent and I went out there for the first time, you guys wanted to build relationships. That's what it takes in this business, Mike. I mean, I can't call up the president of Caesars or the
who is it? Who even is the president, right?
That's a good point.
Michael Gaughan's still around, right? So
at South Point,
and Derek, but the rest are corporations, right? Wynn's out, Sheldon's gone. I mean, it becomes all corporations.
It's not good.
Right.
Mike Palm, you have a good weekend. Appreciate you doing this. We'll do it again next week. The very latest, going inside the numbers on the hook here with Mike Palm, Vice President of Operations at Circa Sports. My name's Ken Miller. Thank you to everybody for watching Iowa Everywhere, sponsored by Circa. Of course, you can download the app here in Iowa. And if you're in Illinois, week 3 in Illinois now, Mike? Third week?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
And we'll see you out there in a couple of weeks. 2 weeks from tonight, you and I will be breaking bread somewhere in the Windy City. Look forward to it. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time on The Hook.